All right, man, peace. So for those of you brothers that follow the NBA, you know about the great Dwyane Wade. It does seem as if this is going to be his last season in the NBA. And in my view, his legacy is going to be that at his apex, at his peak. In my view, he was just as good as Kobe Bean Bryant. Dwyane Wade circa 2004 to 2006, maybe even extending all the way into 2008, was bringing just as much to the table as Kobe Bryant was. Now, was he as explosive an offensive player? No, he was not. But when you look at what he could do defensively, shot blocking, etc., also scoring, and his proficiency advantages over Kobe Bean, I think that the comparison between himself and Kobe is far closer than people realize. Now, is Kobe Bryant an overall better player than him? Absolutely. Absolutely he is. But peak value, peak for peak, before Dwyane Wade threw his body around and constantly fell on the parquet floor or on the wooden floor for effect, he was a dominant shooting guard at peak value, right there with Kobe in my view. So anyway, Dwyane Wade sat down with many of the members of NBA TV to talk about this last season with the Miami Heat, as well as what his prognostications are for the team. So they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
It'll be one more year for the future Hall of Famer Dwyane Wade, who will go back to Miami to make one more run with the Heat. So it's his final media day. He chats with our own Ro Parrish.
He's a champion, he's an MVP, he's a future Hall of Famer, the man that needs no introduction. Wade joins us. So you basically lead the Heat in every statistical category. What made you want to come back for one more season?
The reason why he wanted to come back for one more season is because he's an attention addict. Dwyane Wade is an attention whore. It's very obvious. You can tell by how he dresses. Contrary to what people understand, they give Westbrook a lot of the credit for the outlandish outfits. Dwyane Wade was doing that even before Westbrook, and Westbrook started to steal his thunder. And I stated this in a video a long time ago. You'll notice that when many of these players become second bananas, they try to get attention some other type of way, normally with some outlandish clothing attire. Dwyane Wade started that back in like 2010. And then Westbrook started out maybe like a year or so later with some of the crazy outfits. But there's no doubt in my mind that the reason why Dwyane Wade is coming back for this last season is because he thinks that he's going to get the Kobe Bryant treatment across the league. And I think that he's going to get his feelings hurt when he realizes that, as Draymond Green told Paul Pierce, when Paul Pierce thought that he was going to get that treatment, you're not Kobe. So there's a total difference between Dwyane Wade and Kobe Bryant when it comes to box office. Kobe Bryant was box office. Dwyane Wade is not box office per se over the course of his career. And I think that he is going to get his feelings hurt a little bit as he goes across the league and thinks that he's going to be feted and celebrated, and he's not. At least not to the degree that he's hoping for.
Well, I mean, I think for me, just listening to a lot of my fans, my family, my friends, and I think everybody, wanted to say goodbye, and
who is everybody, Dwyane Wade? Let's be for real for a second, brother. Even your own franchise, the Miami Heat, basically told you deuces when you tried to hold their feet over the fire for a Kobe Bryant contract. That's why, once again, it's very obvious to me that Dwyane Wade is going to get his feelings hurt. He thought that the Miami Heat were going to give him the same prohibitive contract that the Lakers gave Kobe Bryant. And Pat Riley looked at him and said, "No, sir, I don't do business like that. You're not going to cause us to make bad business decisions because of your emotions. So you can head off, go play with Chicago, go play with Cleveland. You have to be right back." Almost like a chick who's upset with her man, so she decides that she's going to go mess around. And she's going to end up right back with that guy because he's the one who actually takes her seriously. Nobody else takes her seriously. And I think that Dwyane Wade had to find that out the hard way.
And a piece of me wanted to say goodbye to, if you have the opportunity to go through your last year, and play on your own terms, and for me to be back in Miami at the same time doing that, I wanted to get the opportunity to just go through this year and just give a chance to salute, say my thank yous and say goodbye to all the people who have supported me through these 16 years.
There are certain trade rumors right now circulating about a current or former Marquette alum Now, what would it mean to have a wing of that stature, an all-star stature, join the Heat lineup?
Of course, they're talking about Jimmy Butler, and I think that that would be a great pickup for the Heat, because I think that Jimmy Butler is a Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra type of player. He plays on both ends of the court. He's very hard-nosed. He's rugged. He's rough. He can score. He does not mind the half-court game. He also can run. Let me say this, though. Friends can become enemies very quickly. Dwyane Wade and Jimmy Butler played together on the Chicago Bulls. Of course, they both attended the same alma mater, that being Marquette. Dwyane Wade pretty much took Jimmy Butler under his wing. They have a very similar personality in regards to how they attack on the floor. But Jimmy Butler did something very shady, very shisty earlier on this year when he made a comment on Dwyane Wade's quote-unquote wife's Instagram photo pertaining to how attractive he found her, because as usual with a lot of these fake wives, these fake entertainment wives, she's still advertising herself. Why is that? Because as I told you, brothers, in one of the previous videos that I did on Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union, I think it was one of the Women Do Not Start to Mature Until 45 Years Old videos, the one starring Gabrielle Union. I told you that it's very obvious to me that they're both pansexual. And they're together because it's convenient business-wise. Dwyane Wade, without a doubt, in my view, is a pansexual, as is Gabrielle Union. And they most likely have an agreement that they can both run off and do their thing. I personally think that one of Gabrielle Union's boo things is that actress, I believe her name is Olivia Munn, Aaron Rodgers' former beard. So all this freakiness goes on in Hollywood or the entertainment industry, and these sports leagues, they're all a part or an extended arm of the entertainment industry. All these prominent athletes and performers, they're all Luciferians, and the vast majority of them are outright pansexuals, right? Allegedly.
Lineup.
Well, first of all, anybody, any team, whether you have 4 or 5 all-stars or whether you have one, as we had last year with Goran, to be able to have, someone of the caliber of a Jimmy Butler,
And just to get back to that point that I was making, do not be surprised if Jimmy Butler tries to creep up on Dwyane Wade's wife. And just to continue on in the point that I was originally making, do not be surprised if Jimmy Butler, once he's traded to the Miami Heat, falls out with Dwyane Wade. And it's something that you might not know about. They'll try to act like there's something on the floor, but it might be something going on off the floor. For the most part, most of these NBA players that fall out is usually over some thotty, some whore. Usually a pansexual whore. Sometimes it's an MK sex kitten that's sent out to many of these NBA stars to seduce them into the Luciferian lifestyle or life choice. But don't be surprised if Gabrielle Union is a point of contention between these two, because even though she's older, she is a pansexual. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That's why she runs around trying to be an advocate for eating ass. 45 years old, damn near 50 years old, this broad is running on Sway in the morning, or whatever the name of Sway's radio show is, talking about eating ass. What is that telling you? That a female's on the radio talking about eating ass, and she says that Dwyane Wade likes to get his ass eaten. So what's that telling you about Dwyane Wade? Or what should that be telling you?
Join, your team. You're that much better and even better than you think right away. So I think as you've seen, when he, the possibility of him coming to, get an opportunity to come available, everybody's throwing their head, in the ring and trying to see where they can come out. So the organizations have to do their part to try to, make their team better. And if you get an all-star.
And as I'm making this video, Jimmy Butler still has not been traded yet. So it's very obvious to me that the word around the campfire when it comes to many of these teams is that Jimmy Butler is more trouble than he's worth. That's why I say again, do not be surprised that should Jimmy Butler be traded to the Heat, that you hear about some contention in their locker room somewhere in the middle of the season between himself and Dwyane Wade. And it will most likely be possibly over Gabrielle Union, or maybe even one of Dwyane Wade's side chicks, because these guys, they tend to play in the same dirt.
If you get an all-star to come out on the market, you do your job to try to do that. So I'm sure us and a million other teams in the NBA are trying to figure out a way that they can get into the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes.
I think that acquiring Jimmy Butler will be a great move for the Heat, if for no other reason then it might put them in position to possibly try to sign Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I'm not quite sure how much room they have under their cap. But the Miami situation, that would be very appetizing for many of the league's more prominent stars, especially if they were to join up with a Jimmy Butler and he's not going to be the alpha, he'd be the third guy. That would be very appetizing. I could see that with a Kyrie Irving, a Kevin Durant, a Jimmy Butler teaming up in Miami. Now, in my view, they most likely have planned to team up in New York, but I think that Jimmy Butler just said, fuck this, once he realized that Karl Anthony Towns was not re-upping on his contract because Karl Anthony Towns did not want to play with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's like, this nigga's soft already when he wants to play. So now he does not want to play with me. So, I mean, how soft is he going to be this year? I might as well demand a trade and get the hell out of here.
Your former teammate and best buddy LeBron James is now taking his talents to the West Coast. So what is it going to take for...
Yes, he had to get out to the Hollywood Coven. LeBron James did.
For you and the Miami Heat to get a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference?
Well, for my last year, I thank him for leaving that void. Even though some good teams in this, conference still. When you look at Boston, you look at Toronto, and you look.
Yeah, I'm not even sure why you're saying that, bro. Because that void is not going to help you guys at all. You guys are arguably a third-tier team in the Eastern Conference, a third-tier playoff team. You'll probably be somewhere in between 6 and 8 making the playoffs in the East. You guys are not going to be a threat to anybody, at least not on a serious level.
I know when you look at Philly and so forth and so on, those are the top 3. I hope I ain't missing nobody that from last season that, shown that they have the talent, they have the ability, and another year together they're going to be tough with some other teams. So, health is important to that. The team that's healthy is better than a team that's more talented and better.
You think so, Dwyane Wade? It depends on how much talent is left on that team where they might be experiencing some health issues. Because I have news for you. The Boston Celtics, they could lose Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. They'll still be better than you.
So we definitely got to be healthy, and we got to, once we start tomorrow, we got to get right on top of what we need to do, how we need to do it, and play our game the way that we can and what's on our roster, and not focus on what anyone else is doing right now.
I want to get into the Jimmy Butler aspect, but let's start with D. Wade, because Zeke, you're one of only a handful of athletes, especially now in free agency, you don't see it at all, who understands a relationship with one city that's at a different level. Dwyane Wade may have left temporarily to a couple other places, but he's got that kind of relationship. How nice is it that he gets that swan song where both will be able to spend one season together?
I think it's awesome. It's Wade County in Miami, right? And there's a big sign when you come off the freeway, it says Wade County. That's how much they love and admire Dwyane Wade in Miami. Now, for them to come back together, he and Pat Riley, I thought Pat Riley made a terrible mistake in letting him go.
Well, I have to disagree with you there, brother. I can't say that Pat Riley made a terrible mistake in letting him go. What Pat Riley utilized was good business. There's a reason why you're considered one of the worst executives and why your name is so bad in NBA circles as an executive, despite the fact that you're an astounding judge of talent. There are very few appraisers of talent on the level of Isaiah Thomas. But due to the fact that he makes very bad decisions in regards to the cap and in regards to how to play players and so on and so forth, picking coaches, that's why his name is Mud. Plus, he's not someone who's viewed with having a lot of integrity. Isaiah Thomas is not. So for him to say that Pat Riley made a big mistake in not signing Dwyane Wade, I actually think he made a great decision. He had to show Dwyane Wade that, look, Dwyane, we love you, but you're not Kobe. And even if you were Kobe, we would not do the idiocy that the LA Lakers front office did with him that almost crippled them and really held them back for about 2 or 3 years, when they should have done the same thing to Kobe that Miami did to Dwyane Wade. It may have prompted Kobe to retire a couple of years earlier, and the Lakers may have been better a couple of years earlier. But no, what Pat Riley did was not a bad thing at all.
Go. Because Dwyane Wade really was the foundation and the building block that got the Miami Heat started.
No, sir. Actually, the foundation that got the Miami Heat started was when Pat Riley left the New York Knicks in 1995 and went to the Miami Heat. That's truly what got them started.
Before Alonzo, before Shaq, before, LeBron, it was Dwyane Wade, right?
No, not really. Actually, it was Pat Riley. Because Pat Riley went there in 1995. He got them to the playoffs in his first year there. The next year, he got them to the Eastern Conference Finals with Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning. Tim Hardaway at that time, by the 96-97 season, was viewed as a player who was a retread. He was spectacular in the early 90s, and then he had some knee issues. Golden State basically gave him away. Pat Riley took him and rebuilt him. And he was one of the captains on one of the best defensive teams in the NBA at that time, along with Alonzo and Dan Marley, P.J. Brown, Vashawn Leonard, etc. I mean, it was basically a team of guys that, I won't say that were all cast-offs, but they were kind of built up in the Riley image. And that's why the rivalry between the Heat and the Knicks was so cantankerous. Because it was almost like a father who had left his old family and started a new family. And now both families ran into one another at the IHOP or some restaurant for families, and both families are there eating next to each other, and they just gonna start fighting. And that's why that rapport between those two teams was filled with so much rancor. But no, Pat Riley was the foundation of the Miami Heat. He always has been. Dwyane Wade, what he was that electric wing that they needed to team with Shaq. They were fortunate enough to draft him in 2003 and then be able to get Shaq in 2004. But Shaq was really the more important player, even though he was not the better player. Shaq was the more important player when they acquired him in 2004 than Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade's spectacular talent just took them over the top in the finals and in the playoffs. And quiet as kept, had Dwyane Wade not gotten hurt in the 2005 Eastern Conference Finals against Detroit, they might have won back-to-back championships.
Right? And when those two broke up, I thought Pat Riley lost a little credibility around the league.
Brother, no disrespect, but you're the last person who should be talking about somebody losing credibility around the league. I have one name for you, Anuka.
Because Dwyane Wade has that much presence with the players.
Not if you let them young boys in Chicago tell you, because they were not paying him any mind whatsoever. They were following behind Rondo. They basically told Dwyane Wade and Jimmy Butler to kiss their ass. That's why they got rid of Dwyane Wade at the end of the season and traded Jimmy Butler, because the rest of the players in their locker room did not want to play with either one of those guys.
Those two coming back has now made Miami, Pat Riley, and the Heat again, the place and the destination that people will trust. As long as Dwyane Wade is around that organization with Alonzo Mourning, they are going to be, a place where people want to go and play, because he has the trust, he's a great leader, and he's a great champion, and all the players love him.
Let's talk about people want.
Well, once again, Isaiah Thomas, I'm not going to disagree with you too much. I'm not quite sure how well liked Dwyane Wade is around the league. I'm sure that he's very well respected. But I'm pretty sure that there are no free agents that are saying to themselves, I'm going to go sign with Miami because Dwyane Wade is there. Nobody's saying that. You're pretty much just saying that because Dwyane Wade is one of your Chicago homeboys. And let me not forget what Dwyane Wade and Isaiah Thomas both have in common, other than being from Chicago. They both have a gay son. Well, Isaiah Thomas actually has 2 gay sons. But it's very clear to me, and I'll probably be covering this in another video, that Dwyane Wade is part of that sports industry paradigm, that Luciferian principle of making one of your sons a homosexual, right? Allegedly, but I'll probably be covering that in another video.
People wanting to play there, and Griff, go back into the front office in the mind where we were with Minnesota, where we talked about what happened with Paul George. Regardless of where Jimmy Butler may want to go, does it make sense for Miami to get involved and take a shot? Maybe for 1 year, but it is Miami, maybe for longer.
Well, from a cultural identity standpoint, it certainly does. I mean, Jimmy is what Miami and Pat Riley have been.
I agree. I think that his personality fits in perfectly with them.
He's an overachiever. He's a worker. He's a fiendish worker, frankly, and I think that's what Miami's sort of become known as. And to Isaiah's point, Dwyane going back really does sort of reestablish them as a possible destination, because Dwyane gives his blessing. But I also think it's really meaningful that Haslam signed again, both of those guys have been asked to continually sacrifice financially for that franchise so that they can continue to build and try to be an elite team. So if you're Dwyane and you sacrifice this year, in large part because they said they would give you a meaningful role, but also because you'd like to win, I think it makes a lot of sense to put Jimmy there and let him experience the Heat culture with Dwyane present, because there's no better way to take it into the future than to have Dwyane be the one that lays that groundwork for you.
Right, but Jimmy Butler's not going to be the guy that you build around for the future. That's the bottom line to that. Jimmy Butler's 30 years old. He's a very good NBA player. He's one of the top two-way players in the league. But on a championship-level team, he's your third option offensively. So he's not going to be the foundation or the cornerstone of the future of the Miami Heat. He'll be a piece. That's why I say if he's there and they could bring in Kyrie and Kevin Durant, then that'd be a great trade.
For you as Jimmy Butler.
You know, the question there for Roe is about where in the conference grid they fit. The one thing we've become accustomed to since LeBron left, they maximize what they have on that roster with Spo and that group. They're always in the playoff mix, so D-Wade should have a run, whether it's with Jimmy Butler or not, to get one more playoff run in him, at least get to the playoffs this year in Miami.
Oh, no question. The East is somewhat down this season, and, Griff made a point earlier in the night.
I'm not quite sure if the East is somewhat down this season. Just because LeBron left Cleveland does not mean that the East is going to be down. I think that Toronto's going to be better. Philadelphia is going to be better. Boston's going to be better. Assuming that they all stay healthy, I think Milwaukee's going to be a bit better. I think that the Wizards are going to be better with Dwight Howard. I think they're going to be better. Even though I will say that John Wall is somebody to watch for quite a few reasons. I think that there may possibly be an alcohol issue with John Wall. Allegedly. Just looking at his countenance and his face, I think that there may possibly be an alcohol issue with him. You brothers watch out for that down the line.
Earlier in the day about continuity. You have everybody back, and you're getting a Waiters back into the mix, who was hurt last, and I think that was huge for them. Waiters.
The problem with Waiters is that Waiters could win the game for you, or he could win the game for the other team. Waiters is almost like a Miami version of J.R. Smith.
Not being there, it was hard for them to continue on the success of the previous season, how they finished so strong with Waiters not being there. But they're in the playoff mix, I believe. Wade, he still can play and have his moments, but you have enough pieces around that are comfortable with the style of play, the system, what Spo is all about. The key for them is two things really: staying healthy, being able to be at their best throughout the season, and then the Whiteside situation. That's been a bit of distraction and
that is going to be a problem, but that's a problem that the Miami Heat front office, they caused that problem. They paid him a whole bunch of money. They paid him like they thought he was going to be the next Hakeem Olajuwon, and they're realizing that he's not that. He's pretty stiff. And what I mean by that is he can't really compete with many of these top-line centers, but they're paying him like a top-line center. He can't compete with a Joel Embiid. He cannot compete with a Karl Anthony Towns. He can't run the offense like a Jokic can. There are just a lot of things that he cannot do. Now, he's a great shot blocker, but how effective is that going to be against teams like the Golden State Warriors, who are going to have 5 players on the floor who are going to be shooting threes? So,
and how that's managed. I do think having Wade there can be helpful. Having Haslam as vets try to manage that along with Pat Riley. But if Whiteside is engaged and his mind is in the right place, then they're an underrated team in the Eastern Conference.
But anyway, we'll see how things turn out with the Miami Heat and whether or not they're able to pull off that Jimmy Butler trade. So peace.